All right, guys. So I want to talk about boxing and learning how to learn, and that's kind of a skill that people kind of gloss over. So it's just something that I want to apply because in this day and age, we're in a completely new time. We have the internet, and it's connected us in a way that like knowledge is everywhere and it's instant the way that it travels. So now we have all these autodidacts. If you don't know what an autodidact is somebody that likes to teach themselves things. They rarely have a traditional education, but they teach themselves usually to like kind of like a high functional level, maybe even borderline professional level through unconventional means. And with YouTube University, everybody knows the power of YouTube University now, right? We have like this day and age where all these autodidacts come up and they're just like random talent, just pouring out of the world. It's really amazing. But you have to seek these things, right? You have to seek knowledge, which is where YouTube comes in. This is where everyone seeks knowledge. So I call them seekers. Instead of calling them autodidacts, I don't know, it doesn't sound cool enough for me. So we are the seekers, right? I personally am a seeker. That's how I, got to where I'm at. I'm teaching boxing in Thailand. I'm just a kid from Baltimore City. I didn't grow up, like boxing even. I started boxing at 20, I started all this stuff, but now I'm 12-3 in boxing. I taught myself a lot of my boxing, right? But I'm 12-3, and I went to Korea and I started studying in Kyokushin karate. And then I got third place in my first tournament, which was the international competition, right? I got third place in the All Asia Continental Kyokushin tournament, and I learned a lot from my sensei, but I practiced a lot on my own, and I looked up a lot of the information on my own. Typical autodidact behaviors, right? We just study on our own so much. So, you just think about it, man. Nobody can get away from information being shared on the internet. Even Kanye can't delete his tweets. Even Kanye, they screenshot it before he deletes it, and it comes right back. You remember when they used to burn libraries? Well, we're kind of in the opposite age of that. Instead of that, like we can't seem to get rid of information. So, with all the autodidacts coming out, we have to understand that learning is it's massively complex because it changes with every person. And they don't teach you how to learn in school. That's something they don't teach you. And the reason why is because it's unique for every person, right? And so it takes this complex map to figure out where you're at. Now, I want to talk about this for a second because, if you want to learn how to learn, well, first you got to, where do you start? Right? So think of it like this. Who are you? Right? And let's go backwards, okay? Let's say you're lost. Let's say you dropped into mainland China in the country and you've never been there and you don't know anything. And then, somebody gives you a map and then they walk away. Nobody talks to you. You don't speak Chinese. Nobody speaks English. So they can't really help you. Right? You're standing there with a map. What's the first thing you're going to do? You're going to find where you are. Find out where are you on the map. So look for a landmark and say, I'm kind of far from that. So that mountain, I think that's on the map, maybe. See what represents what. What is the map telling you? And then, once you find out where you are, who you are, right? You learn that self, then you find out where you want to go. You're thirsty? All right, well, where's the water? There's a river on the opposite of the mountain. So then you look at the mountain, you look at the river, and then you also see the pace. You're like, okay, well, that's 100 paces away. So the river is 100 paces that way as well because it's the same distance from me to the mountain. You know what I'm saying? Like, you see how you gather all this information without speaking, without getting directions, or anything like that, just from visual cues. This is a type of learning. Like I said, it depends on what type you are. Now, some people, and I have two types in this system that I'm building, right? But you have spontaneous learners where you can just give them a map and they'll just kind of like intuitively figure things out, right? I'm kind of spontaneous in that way. And then you have consequential learners where you give them a map and then they're going to have questions. And so consequential learners, they might have a little bit more difficulty with no direction in the beginning, but because they learn correctly and they learn it as a process from beginning to end, which is sometimes what we need to do as autodidacts, they get a much better fundamental understanding and they can map things out much quicker, right? So, understanding that, just realize that school is not going to teach you that because you're still learning how to read and write. And by the time you get to middle school and high school to where you start learning more complex things, they're just going to churn you out of the system. They just want you to get in the system, get your degree, okay? Become the lawyer, pay off the house until you die. All right? That's what they want you to do. We're not meant to do that. We're not meant to at all. Like, think about it. Man's curiosity dominates our psyche. Why? It's our only weapon. Your mind is your only weapon. As the apex predator of this planet, okay, with no fangs, no night vision, no wings, no, claws, our mind is literally the only thing that separates us and puts us at the top of the food chain. That and cardio. Right? That and cardio. So looking at that, man, your mind has to be the sharpest tool in the bag because that's our only weapon. So why aren't we sharpening it? And the reason why is because we don't know how to learn because, we're just busy controlling the masses. Let me teach you guys to pursue that God-given curiosity again. Right? Go back and pursue your instincts. Your instinct is to be curious. Man is blessed and cursed with curiosity, so that we can FAFO, F around and find out. All right. So FAFO is I live by that motto. I like to F around and find out. So let's talk about a system that my mentor gave to me, Kaizen. And it's really cool. It's a little bit of an accident. Okay, so we have A, B, and C students. And the reason that we're touching on this, and it has nothing to do with your actual grades, but it has to do with your values. And the reason that we're touching on this is because it'll tell us, what do you like and dislike? Right? What do you pay attention to? What do you assign value to so you can learn quicker and you can learn better and learn more fundamental and be successful, right? So based on your values, you can find, okay, what learning method is going to work for you. And also you can start to predict people's behaviors, right? And it's based on a model, like I said, it's not results-based, and it's not like a huge anthropological study, but it is anthropological in tendency. And you see these groups of people. So you guys let me know in the comments if you recognize any of these behaviors. But I am going to give a couple examples of some. So anyway, Let's jump into it. A, B, and C students. The first thing I want to point out, and we'll touch on 3 things later, but there's no hierarchy, all right? So don't do that, okay? Now, I'm going to make a statement. And Kaizen made this statement to me, and this is the accident. He said the same thing that Robert Kiyosaki said, with one difference. Robert Kiyosaki said, A students work for C students, and B students work for the government. That's what he did. If you don't know Robert Kiyosaki wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. All right? He's a financial, genius and all this. And in the books, he talks about, in that specific book, A students work for C students, he talks about how C students, they're not paying attention to stuff in school because school doesn't make you smart. It doesn't train you to be smart. Right? Like I said, it's the system. It churns out good workers. Right? So he says that C students, well, they're pursuing their own interests. So they don't really care about the school stuff. They want to know how things work outside of that, so they're not really paying attention to that stuff. And that's why they end up starting their own company. And then they hire an A student that did all that school work and did 8 years of college afterwards. They hire them because that's a specialist. Let's say you need a doctor to run insurance on your new business, or you need a lawyer to write a contract for you. Okay, so you need to hire an A student, right? But this didn't really quite make sense, and I'll explain why. Okay, so let's take a C student. What motivates a C student to be a C student? Right? And let's take this example, right? A, B, and C student. Let's take this one person, and let's say you are choosing one of the 3, and you're perfectly intelligent. You could be an A student. You have the capacity. But you're choosing to be a C student for a reason. When we want to know, what is that reason, right? So Let's start. C students, what do you value to be a C student? What makes you do that? What makes you tick? And you think about it, their number one value is comfort. All right? Sit and let that percolate. Okay? They want to be comfortable. They do just enough to pass. They don't get celebrated because they're not getting an A and a B. They're not really trying that hard. They're getting C's. They go home, they do whatever they want to do, whatever makes them feel comfortable, right? A lot of times they go on to work for the government. And this is the difference. Robert Kiyosaki said A students work for C students. B students work for the government. We said, me and Kaizen, we've changed it. A students work for B students. C students work for the government. Why? Well, that's because C students want to do just enough to get by. You know those entry-level government jobs? They're kind of hard. They're kind of hard to get fired from. The job itself is easy. You know what I'm saying? You're doing just enough to get by. You're making some money, a little bit. You're also getting retirement and insurance if you just stay with it. It's the easy way out, dude. Think about it. The Army, that's a military job. A lot of people in the military could be considered C students, right? And what characteristics do we assign to that? Well, they don't want to choose their own way. They say, you decide. You just give me the orders and I'll just do it. As long as I keep my head down, you won't bother me, right? Do you recognize this? Maybe in military or even in, the McDonald's workers that just doing just enough to get by, just don't bother me. If you recognize this, just give it a name first and then start to assign more qualities to it, right? Another thing is sometimes they're lazy, right? Now, everyone can be a victim of laziness. And there's 3 things that I want you to understand. Of course, there is no hierarchy. Number 2, we are a mix of all 3 students. So don't get all married to being a C student or a B student or A student. You have all 3 within you, okay? And number 3 is we need to learn from all 3 types to become a true autodidact and learn how to, learn anything. Learn how to learn, right? So anyway, we have our C students, and their number one value is comfort. They're working for the government. Don't bother me, blah, blah, blah. That's why they're not starting their own companies. Now we have to get into the entrepreneurs, the B students. And what makes them a B student? Well, they know some of what they're talking about because they value knowledge. But why do they value knowledge? What is their number one value, really? Right? What is it? And if you really think about it, why do you start your own company? And of course, you might believe that it's something that you love and all that stuff, but if you think about it, at the end of the day, you want to make money however you want to make money. You want to start something great. You have a vision. Your number one value as a B student is freedom. And let me tell you why. Because I personally am a diehard B student, right? That's my number one. And then this is complex, but I have A student values. I believe in doing things the right way. It's just that I don't like doing all of that damn homework. This is the most common thing. B students, we do the classwork, and we might even ace the test or do well on the test. Because we know the information, we value the knowledge, because the knowledge gives us the keys to do what we want. If you know how to fish, you're good, right? If someone catches a fish, the C student will be like, can you give me the fish? I might even pay you for it. I might steal it, right? That's the easy way sometimes. Sometimes C students can break the rules or lie or cheat, things like that, because sometimes that's the easy way. Not to say that's an assumptive thing, but usually C students, especially C students mixed with B students, they can do that. That's a pattern. But then B students, they don't want your fish. They want to learn how to fish, and then they'll tell you to politely F off. They'll leave me alone. Okay, if I want fish, I will go get it. Leave me alone. Let me do what I want. Therefore, in school, when you give me homework that I already know how to do, why am I doing it again? I'm not doing it again. Okay? I'm going home. I'm doing whatever the hell I want to do because I value my freedom. Right? But what if I don't understand the homework? Well, then I'll do it. I'll do it and I'll learn it because I value the knowledge and the freedom that knowledge gives me. Therefore, when I grow up, I didn't finish college. I got in and I was like, guess what I want to do? I want to fight. So I dropped out and I started boxing in Oklahoma. And I found my way, my own way. I did it my way, right? So, I'm a B student. I like to start my own things. I'm a natural leader. That's just how I am. I can speak and try to inspire people and try to speak to those that were like me, right? Autodidacts, man, of all different A, B, and C students. Guys, I've been down that road, and that's why I'm here. That's why I'm giving this lesson. So if you're a B student and you want to start your own thing, I want you to know you need to learn from the A and C students. Sometimes, and here's the weakness. We're stubborn. Very stubborn. Think about it. An entrepreneur, what they do is they start a company, and then it fails, and then they give it a new name, they repackage it, and start another one. And that's a good thing because they're headstrong, they're convicted, they're ready, they're excited. But at the same time, when you do the same thing over and over again and you fail, what's that called? Insanity, I believe. Okay? So don't do the same thing over and over again. Relax, okay? Sometimes do it the easy way, man. Make it more efficient. And then sometimes, hey, go take a course, go line it up, go to college, get your degree, whatever you need to do to learn it the right way so you can use those fundamentals to explore more, right? So that's kind of the weakness of the B student, but, they're quite headstrong. It's hard to demotivate a B student, and that's essentially a good summary of the B student, right? They study enough to get the freedom, but they don't do all the work because they're pursuing their own goals. They value their freedom. Now let's move on to our last one, A students. Their number one value. It's similar to C students. Can you guess? I'll give you a second. Think about it. Similar to comfort, the number one value of an A student is security. Right? Now, it's similar to being comfortable because when you're comfortable, you're relaxed. Well, A students can't relax unless they know for sure that they got everything right, 100% correct. You know what I'm saying? So what they do is they go and they do all that classwork, all that homework, all of the extra credit, they ace the test, and they're teacher's pet. And when they're teacher's pet, they are comfortable. They are happy because they know they can't be wrong. They said, look, I followed all your rules. I followed all your directions. I did everything the right way. You can't say I'm wrong because I'm 100% right. I can't be poor. I went to 8 years of college and got a degree and became a lawyer. You know what I'm saying? Like, I make $100K a year at least, so I can't be poor, right? Now, what's the issue with A students, right? Their issue is when you take that rule book, the way you're supposed to do things, and you chuck it. Once you chuck it out the window, you say the rules are gone, right? The rules are gone. Then what? Then what are they gonna do? So I always use this example. Let's take this model because people are like, well, what does that have to do with fighting, or what does that have to do with learning, or anything like that? Well, it becomes, for me, it's a predictive model first, and then this just to show you how you can apply this to different things. It becomes a predictive model based on okay. If I'm an A student, I'm by the book and all this stuff, and then I struggle when it comes to creative, things that are outside of the book, right? Or I'm a B student, I value my freedom and all that stuff, but sometimes structure upsets me, and sometimes doing it the easy way is kind of frustrating because it's like it feels lazy, right? And then C students, well, they're lazy. Man, there we go. So I'm gonna take you through an example. I'll give you a model here. Ready? We have a student. I don't know if he's A, B, or C first. We have to put him in a situation first. He throws a jab. Boom. Throws a jab. Boom, 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 right? And then somebody catches the jab and they hit it with the right hand. Bam! hit him, hurt him. Didn't feel good. Okay? What is the C student's response to this? I threw a jab, bam, got caught. I'm gonna tell you right now, a C student, they're not going to jab again. They're gonna avoid that. They're gonna get away from that whole situation, and they're going to reroute. I don't like to say just avoid, because let's say you're a C student but you're still trying to win. Well, now you got to reroute, because they don't like the discomfort but they still want to win. So let's call it rerouting. They're going to reroute. Okay? They're not going to jab again probably. Unless, and here's the tricky one, unless they have knowledge of understanding that, okay, if you're countering my jab, it'd be unexpected if I just threw another one, right? Or it'd be unexpected for me to just dive in. These are like some options that some of the crazier C students might try to do. Now, let's move on to B students. If a B student gets countered for throwing a jab, think about that. When you counter someone's jab, you're telling them no jabs. And what a B student is going to say to that is, how dare you? I value my freedom. You will not tell me what to do. So they're going to jab again. They're going to do it again, right? The meme, like, do it again, right? So they're going to do it again. And they're going to probably repackage it. Maybe they'll do an up jab, or they'll feint and they'll jab the body, or they'll double jab, right? I have 12 jabs. With me being a B student, you can see why I came up with 12 jabs, because people kept telling me no jab by countering it. And I came up with it because I wrote it because I learned my good fundamentals and all that stuff. And then I created this because I'm a leader and I want to start my own thing, start my own style, start my own system. It just plays in, right? So I'm looking at that study and I'm like, yeah, that's usually how I do it. When I jab and somebody counters me, I'm like, you can't tell me what to do. And then I go again, right? It's super fun. Now, let's go into our last one, the A students. What is an A student's response? A C student, they're going to reroute. A B student is going to repackage. An A student, what is the by-the-book answer to when someone, boom, catches the jab and counters you? And I'll tell you, just in case you don't know, right? A lot of people don't know boxing, right? So, in boxing, you set a trap. An A student is going to say, okay, I can't get away from my jab. I have to keep jabbing, right? That's by the book. That's the most important punch in boxing. So what can I do? Well, you know they're going to counter, so counter the counter. Set a trap, I throw the jab, they catch it. So now when they counter me, I'm going to arm parry and then come back with my own counter. Now that's a little bit more advanced, but if you've gone through the whole book of boxing, you should know that. That should be a basic skill. To do a jab and turn it into an arm parry, or boom and pull back and throw a right hand, or boom shoulder roll, boom. You have all these options. These are by the book options. So me as a B student with A student values, that's why my system, we have boom shoulder roll, boom head catch, boom slip, boom catch, boom arm parry. Look at how many options is that off of somebody countering my jab? Now I get to be the leader. You know what I'm saying? And this is all just off of understanding the different types of people. And this is just 3. I have 9 animal types. Kaizen taught me about having 4 logics, people that operate on 4 logics, right? I have the 4 behavior types, which is jabs, offense, defense, and disengagements. These are the 4 behaviors that you see in a fight. You start to understand, like, okay, A students do this type of behavior quite a bit. You'll see jabbing behaviors and how you can plot that out based on ranges. Once you start organizing this information on a fundamental level, then you can start to understand yourself to a new level. And then you can really, like, bro, I had one conversation with somebody and improved my kicking ability tenfold. I couldn't throw like a good left, a good leg kick, right? I was throwing, and I would throw it hard. I can't express myself. I'm an athlete. But I wasn't throwing a good one. And the reason why is very simple. I had one conversation with a kickboxer in Korea, when I was studying in Korea, right? So I would 1, 2, boom, and then I would turn, bam, and I would kick back, right? I would turn and kick, right? And I had great, arm reach, and then I would throw my hand away, and that was great. Anyway, I would try this kick, right? And I would turn it over, but I wasn't turning it all over. I wasn't leaving my shoulder with it. And that's what he told me. That's literally, he just said, oh, you need to leave your shoulder when you kick. I was like, what do you mean? I was like, okay, watch this. I would kick, boom, right? I would turn, like pick up my leg, and then I would throw this away, right? Boom. And you see, my kick goes this way, but my shoulder went this way. You see how that's pulling away from my power? Even though I'm whipping it, I'm going 1, 2, 1, 2. Whereas I can just leave all the power in the bag by going like this. 1, 2. You see how I stayed turned over? And my kick would have came, boom, while I'm still turned over. He said, leave your shoulder forward. Right? Boom, my shoulder's forward. And I throw the arm away, but not my shoulder. Boom! And I get a much better kick. Bam! And then I come back. Bam! And then I come back. If you can visualize this type of stuff, well, first of all, you're a stronger, competitor and learner already just with good visualization skills. But like you guys can see how like going this and kicking and pulling this back at the same time is no good, right? Just with that one tip, I got better. I've been in Muay Thai gyms and all that stuff for years before that. In 5 minutes, I got a tip that completely changed everything for me. And also, I placed myself in the right situation and asked the right questions because I know what type of learner I am. I'm a spontaneous, hard-working A student type, right? But I'm a B student because I'm exploring. So what I need to do is just continue to throw more punches, throw more kicks, and ask questions. That's my key. Right? But everyone has their own, so it just depends on what type you are. And, from there, you can start your journey. It's a very interesting journey of introspection when you start to go through this whole model. So, yeah, I mean, that's what I do in my school is, I come up with these lessons to help people explore and point out, like, different similarities. And I learned all this from my mentor, Kaizen. He taught me so much. And guess what? He was just teaching me how to play a video game. Let me tell you something. I got better at boxing from playing Street Fighter. Why? Because boxing is what? 90% mental, 10% physical. And if you doubt me, well, then you're doubting Custamato. Because he's the one that said that. I said that years ago, and I didn't even realize that Cus said that. I was like, guys, I think fighting is like 90-10. It's like 9% mental. And they were like, you're crazy. And they started looking at me like I got a phallus on my forehead. And I was like, yo, I'm right. Like, Cus said it too. Like, I'm right. You got to develop this. You're psychological. The thing is, that 10% physical, you need it just to pass. You understand? Just to get a passing grade in fighting. You need that little 10%. So, anyway, guys, I hope that you drew something from this little discussion and learning about A, B, and C students. And please join my school if you'd like to learn more. If you're interested in boxing and learning how to teach yourself boxing, join my NOS challenges. I have a perfect punch program that's starting up June 1st. I've got my Becoming Baki series that I'm doing personally, right? And people can follow and start to do Baki poses and things like that. And, of course, I have my system and all of these tutorials on my school. So many tutorials. All of this information is available for you on that YouTube University and also in my, community. So I'm here to help people that value knowledge. You guys, send me a message. Join. Just go to school.com/WugongBoxing. Or if you're into the physical challenges and actually working, nas.io/Wugong training. And that'll set you up, man. You guys will be all ready. Please like and share if you thought that this was helpful for you. Thank you. See you later. Happy training.